Welcome to the stock report for UFC Vegas 84. My name is James Lynch. In this video, I'm going to talk about whose stock on the card rose the most and whose stock took a big dive. And there's a number of different candidates on here, but I'm going to go with the biggest riser on this card, and that is Magomed Ankalaev. Huge second round victory over Johnny Walker, getting the finish. And Magomed Ankalaev needed to do this, right? He's had some terrible luck going all the way back to the Jan Blachowicz fight, which honestly should have been a win for him. It ended up being a draw. They went ahead, gave Jamal Hill the title shot. We know the story there. Then he gets the fight with Walker last October, and it ends up being a no contest with a referee miscommunication. But there's no doubt in this fight tonight, he gets the right uppercut. Just good timing here by Ankalaev getting the finish. And this is what he needed, right? Because the big criticism with Magomed Ankalaev from that fight with Jan Blachowicz was maybe not the most entertaining fighter, which I disagree with, but that's sort of what the narrative was coming out of that. And he finishes Johnny Walker, which looks great on the resume. You know, Johnny Walker's lost a number of fights. He hasn't been knocked out in every fight. So this was sort of a statement win here for Ankalaev. Again, very patient, very precise, getting the knockout victory here. And to me, if you're the UFC, you look at this chip as an option for Alex Pereira, because who knows what's going on with Jamal Hill as far as his recovery from injury. You know they want to get Alex Pereira his title defense here pretty soon. So this is an option potentially for UFC 300 or for that Brazil card at UFC 301. You could potentially do Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira headlining that card. So to me, Ankalaev to me had a lot to lose going into this fight. I mean, he was favored, but I mean, had he won and got a decision here, I don't think people would be that high on him. But the fact that he finished Walker was very, very big in this situation. So to me, Ankalaev is the you know, to me the biggest winner of UFC Vegas 84, because most likely, you know, he's getting a title shot next, or at the very least has made a very, very strong case for a title shot, in my opinion. So yeah, Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. And I've said this before, I think if they lock horns, Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, I think Ankalaev can win. I think he's really well-rounded. I think he's tough to finish. That was sort of the only thing going into this fight with Johnny Walker was, could Johnny Walker knock out Magomed Ankalaev? I thought the percentage was pretty low here because Ankalaev is pretty defensively sound. And he showed that in this fight as well. So Ankalaev to me is my biggest riser. Okay, the biggest stock drop on this card is someone who didn't even get to compete on this card, and you can kind of tell by the thumbnail, and it's Manel Kape. Now, normally when I do these videos, it will mainly be fighters that competed on the card, but he was supposed to compete on this card, and I don't know if there's anyone who had a bigger misstep this weekend other than Manel Kape, who, you know, had he won this fight, which I think he was favored to do, or he was favored to do, I should say, and I think stylistically this was a very good matchup for him. Kape misses weight. We see the statement that was released after, Kape saying that, hey, look, I was dealing with something going into this fight. I was sick. I needed to take antibiotics. I was out. He would have been better off pulling out of this fight than doing what he did and trying to make this fight, because we lost the fight. I mean, if this was 2 weeks out, maybe there's a chance Nicolau gets a late replacement. Now, you know, he misses weight. I don't think the UFC really cares that much about the fact that he was sick. It's the fact that this fight got canceled. And with Kape being so close to title contention, this was a really big miss for him here. And I know there was other losers on the card, and we'll talk about some of the fighters that lost some key fights here tonight. But I think to me, Kape is the biggest one because there was title implications with this fight. Now, he may still get the title shot. Maybe they rebook him against someone else later on, and that still happens. But right now, the UFC does not look at weight misses very favorably, right? We've seen a lot of fighters lose out on opportunities because of missing weight. If I'm the UFC, I'm pretty sure I would have been more happy about him pulling out 2 weeks ago than him trying to make the fight and having this fight canceled. So in my opinion, Manel Kape is the biggest loser on this card. Not loser as in like he's a loser, but like the biggest person whose stock took the biggest drop here. Because again, had Kape won this fight, which I think he was going to, and I think he was going to win it by knockout, he's probably getting the next title shot, especially now with the fact that Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi gets scrapped. Now you got Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval. I mean, those are two fighters who just fought Pantoja in his last two fights. This would have been a much easier option, a fresh matchup here for Manel Kape getting that rematch against Pantoja. I know they fought a couple of years ago, but fresh in terms of it didn't happen in the last year. So that's kind of why I think Kape took the biggest blow here. And, you know, I'm sure they'll get him rebooked, but like, who is he even going to fight right now if they wanted to rebook him right now? Amir Albazi's injured. Like, who would he, like, is Kai Kara France, are they going to try that again? I don't know. Maybe they go that route, but that's the other problem here too, is like, when is Kape going to fight? Who's he going to fight? Who's available? I just think a lot of things, you know, worked against Kape after him missing out on this opportunity here. So to me, the biggest stock dropper is Manel Kape on this card. But let's talk about some honorable mentions. I'm going to do this every card as well. I didn't want to pick, you know, 2 or 3 specific ones. To me, it's like you pick the 2 biggest risers and fallers, and then after that, you go with some people whose stock also rose. So we'll talk about, I mean, Jim Miller, but I mean, what's Jim Miller's stock? this day and age, I mean, I think win or lose, he was going to fight at UFC 300 anyway. So good win from there. That was certainly a feel-good moment. Mario Batista, here's a big winner on this card for sure. His stock skyrocketed, ranked win. That's big for him, especially starting out this year. You know, Batista was one of those guys on the fringe of the ranks for a while. He gets this win over Ricky Simone. That's definitely going to elevate him up the rankings and set him up for a pretty big 2024. So Batista, got to mention him as well. You know, Bruno Ferreira, tailor-made matchup for him beating Phil Hawes. Can't put too much into that. Waldo gets a decision. A finish would have been better, so to speak. Marcus McGee, I will say his stock went up a little bit. You know, again, favorite going into the fight. Can't put too much stock into that, no pun intended. But he got a finish. I think that's a key thing here. You get finishes against maybe, you know, the opposition you're supposed to beat. That's the type of stuff that's going to get people's attention. Farid Basharat, I would say his stock went up. Taylor Lapilus, a vet for sure. Nicholas Mota, here's another one, a guy that was counted out. He was an underdog here. He comes through, potentially saves his job here. That was big. And then Joshua Van getting another finish. I know he had a bit of a slow start there, but his stock certainly went up too. And as far as some of the fighters that lost on this card as well, as far as stock going down, probably, I mean, Johnny Walker's an obvious one, right? He missed out again on a contenders fight where had he won, he would be in title contention. Like, what do you do with Walker at this point? He can't seem to get over the hump, so he's someone that certainly went down. And then we got to mention Ricky Simone. Remember that fight with Jack Shore? It really looked like Ricky Simone had broken through. Now that's back-to-back losses in a fight that he was favored in. Not a good look for Ricky Simone as well. So his stock has certainly gone down a lot too. So those are some of the ones that kind of stand out. I'm going to try and do this for UFC 297. We'll have a few more options here, but those are some ones for sure that I think certainly made an impact on this card here. So yeah, for me, for sure, Ankalaev was the biggest winner on this card, and he's someone that, again, you know, even if he doesn't get the title shot next, let's say they go with Hill and Pereira, I think you can give him the winner. I know some people may want to see him have one more fight. I don't think so, man. He hasn't lost in forever. The Paul Craig fight was his last loss, right? When was that? 2018. Come on, give the guy the title shot. You know, whether you like him or don't like his fight style, I mean, he got to finish tonight. That's got to count for something. So he's got to be up there. And like I said, for Manel Kopp, we'll see who's available, who he can fight next. But again, missed opportunity here. First card of the year. He's the first guy who had to withdraw from a fight. Kind of a bummer there. And that fight ended up getting canceled because of the weight miss. So there you go. Really, really good card to start off the year, I got to say, with the fact that, you know, we had a number of good performances, a lot of finishes here, right? Van, Mota. By the way, if you guys are looking for my full UFC Fight Night Ankalaev and Walker recap, that will be up on Patreon. So if you sign up for the Patreon, that's patreon.com/LynchOnSports. You see the little handle there. You can watch those. Any of the Fight Night recaps are exclusive to Patreon. So if you guys want a little bit more of a recap than this stock video, certainly happy to put that out there on that video as well. So we're going to try this out. You know, this is something you guys like. I'll continue to do it after every card. If you don't like it, then I won't do it. I mean, well, it's just going to depend on what the interest is. That, like anything on this channel, right? We'll see if some stuff works or some stuff doesn't. But for me, I kind of like this concept. I think it's cool. I know some people do similar videos, but hey, I'm just trying out some new stuff on the channel, and I'm always open to, you know, adding new stuff. And this is something that's been asked by multiple people. Hey, James, can you do whose stock rose the most? And I usually get asked this in my Q&A. It's much easier to do this in like an 8-minute video here. So there we go. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you think Ankalaev was the biggest winner on this card? And do you think Manel Kopp was the biggest loser? Do you think his stock dropped the most on this card? Let me know in the comments. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, X, @LynchOnSports. That's pretty much all I got here for today. Hope everyone has a good one, and I will talk to you soon.